As-salamu alaykum everyone. Inshallah you are all doing well. Jazakallah khair to everyone here who has supported me and has been patient with me. I am getting over a cold. About 2 weeks ago my husband was sick and alhamdulillah last week I was completely wiped out. Alhamdulillah. But today I'm feeling better and it's a beautiful day in Napoli. It is Friday, alhamdulillah, blessed Friday here in Napoli. And inshallah today I want to talk about things I've been thinking about for quite some time now. I wrote notes as well, because old school notes, because I don't have my husband's phone to use, so I had to write them out, so alhamdulillah. The theme of today's video is Islam versus liberal society. And one of the things I've noticed in liberal society, quote unquote, the West. Inshallah I'll be able to cross the road here. Inshallah you guys can hear me still. So, alhamdulillah, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is how in Islam men are expected to provide for their families, which is alhamdulillah very awesome. And there's these two beautiful dogs that are walking by me right now. And in Western liberal society, the state wants to provide for your family, whether that be with checks or social services. Alhamdulillah, it's crazy that the state wants to replace the head of the household. Because what I was thinking is the hierarchy used to be God, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the husband, or the father, the wife, and the children. And somehow now liberal society wants to replace God and the husband with themselves, unfortunately. So, it's crazy. In Islam, men are expected to protect their family, his family. And in liberal society, you are expected to call the police if somebody hurts or threatens your family or your property. And I find it very strange that the government wants you to call the police, and yet they are also calling to defund the police. So if the police do show up, if you call the police, you sit this one out, and you do call the police, if they do show up, 6 to 8 hours later, there's oftentimes nothing they can do to help you. So that's obviously very problematic, because we need to be able to protect ourselves and our families and our property. It's crazy. So for women, I have noticed in Islam, women are held accountable to their families, to their parents, to their husband, and to their children. Inshallah, we can raise our children in the mosque to have good adab and be pious children. Alhamdulillah, that's the ideal. And in Western liberal society, women are not held accountable at all. For some reason, women are expected to be children for their entire lives, which is very strange, because women are adult females. They are adults. They should be able to be held accountable. And ultimately, women will be held accountable on Judgment Day. So, whether you like it or not, you will be held accountable. Page 2. In Islam, families are venerated. Alhamdulillah, it's like so beautiful. And in Western liberal society, families are denigrated, actually. In fact, families are seen as pockets of resistance against the state. I don't know if you guys watched, Joe Biden made a speech a while ago about how these are our children. He made some statement, these are our children, they're not your children. Well, actually, no. Our children are our children. You don't get to interfere in the way we raise our children. Unacceptable. That's not how this works, bud. So raising your children with your beliefs is sort of seen as counter to the state's project, which is not only terrifying, but unethical. And yeah, very scary. In Islam, marriage is the avenue for intimacy, alhamdulillah. However, in Western liberal society, hookup culture is promoted, which is degeneracy. Sleeping around will do you no good. And the hookup culture thing also, which is really interesting, it's under this idea of like liberation and freedom, and it's actually anything but. And I don't think a lot of people think about the medicalization of hookup culture. For example, STDs, terrible thing to get. And you have to pay for prescriptions. And if you don't get these prescriptions and you don't treat these STDs, it can actually impact your fertility. And I don't think a lot of people think about this. Oh, actually, look at this. If you guys watched my shorts the other day, a couple days ago, I posted this tree-lined street, and guess where I am? At the tree-lined street in Via Chiaia. Take a look, guys. How pretty is that? Alhamdulillah. Hookup culture, terrible. STDs, terrible. Another thing in Western liberal society is that you are told that you can wait as long as you want to have children. And alhamdulillah, that is just not true. That is factually untrue. You cannot delay your fertility forever and ever. Now that's, alhamdulillah, the way it is. We are not the same as men. Men can have babies up until the day they die, practically. Women, that is not the case. We cannot do that, alhamdulillah. And speaking of medicalization, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll delay my fertility. But the fact of the matter is, if you have to use reproductive technology, it's very expensive, very, very expensive. And not only financially expensive, but emotionally, spiritually, physically. I mean, hormones. I mean, it's a big project, and it doesn't always work. And I think people forget that. Oh, I'll just use the IVF. Well, there's no guarantees in IVF either, right, guys? So, alhamdulillah, these are things we have to think about as women. And in Islam, marriage is the avenue to intimacy, and in hookup culture, everybody's just sleeping with each other. It's disgusting, actually, and it's degeneracy. That's not what you want to be. You don't want to be an OnlyFans girl. I'm right in front of this beautiful monument, guys. Let's check this out. This is a very famous monument here in Napoli, which is to recognize, ooh, that sun is bright, to recognize all the men who died in war. Alhamdulillah for them. You guys probably know about the Kalam Institute. They are amazing. And my friend Harris, alhamdulillah, sent me their podcast called Know Thy Enemy. I've mentioned it in the comments before. And Insha'Allah, I will link their first episode in the description box, because it really goes into depth about the ways in which Shaitan wants to ruin our families, which is also what the liberal Western society is trying to do, is to denigrate families, pull them apart with porn and hookup culture and all this stuff. So Inshallah, you'll check that out. I think there's like 12 or 15 episodes. So yeah, it's worth, I know it's a lot. It's like 15 hours or something. But alhamdulillah, there's so much information, and inshallah, you will find it beneficial. That's it for today, and inshallah, it won't be another week for my next video. I have another video planned. Inshallah, I can film that tomorrow. But until then, inshallah, you are all doing well, and Jazakallah khair for your support and your patience. And yeah, wherever you are, inshallah, you're having a beautiful Friday and that you were able to go to the masjid. And if not, you're able to hang out with your beautiful children. And yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video, inshallah. Ciao.